Welcome back. In this video, we are going to challenge the mainstream and explore the extraordinary. Today, we are tackling the mind-bending theories of Terrence Howard, as discussed on the Joe Rogan Experience. Howard challenges the conventional role of gravity, suggesting that electricity and magnetism are the primary forces shaping our universe. Let's embark on this journey and explore how these ideas could revolutionize our understanding of the cosmos. Gravity, the invisible force that supposedly holds our universe together. From Newton's apple to Einstein's general relativity, we've been taught to accept gravity as an undeniable truth. But what if everything we know about gravity is wrong?
Gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, it's trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone. But the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices. And that's some on those pieces, those vortices. Now, instead of it spinning northeasternly, centripetally, it's forced to spin centrifugally, and it spins southwesternly. And it expands itself out, it decays, it keeps decaying until you get 4 magnetic waves that hit each other at 120-degree angles. At that point, they reconvert back into the electric field, and then they make their way back to their source again, whether it's the star, whatever star it came into. What happens when we get older? We expand at our equator, right? We get shorter at the top. Why? Because the electric force is pushing in and condensing, and the magnetism expands out at the equator. The electron field, the electrons, that's just discharged electricity, devitalized electricity, coming from the sun, coming from the earth. It's the waste product from it. But it hits our magnetic field, and then it gets pulled right back in and gets compressed again, and now it becomes electricity for the earth, and then it pushes itself right back out again at the equator. The equator is 5 miles wider than the poles. Electricity, Einstein left that out of his equation because he coupled electricity and magnetism together and didn't realize that electricity was the equal and opposite of magnetism. Electricity being the contractive field. You breathe in, that's a contractive thing. You breathe out, that's a magnetic thing, a radiative thing. But they use the term magnet as an attractor, but to magnify something means to what? Make it larger, increase the space. That's the work of radiation. That's what Walter Russell was talking about all those years. That's the work of radiation. It's the electricity between the things that pull them together. The Coulomb force that supposedly opposites attract and push each other away. If that was true, then hot air and cold air would seek each other out. They're the same substance, but in a different state. They move in opposite directions from each other. Hot water and cold water move in opposite directions from each other. The reason 2 magnets seem like the North Pole is attracted to the South Pole, because if you had 2 rivers or 2 hoses with water coming out of them, and you pointed them at each other, what are they going to do? They're going to be pushing against each other. But they align to where the male enters the female and is able to come out. So they've been fooled by their senses. They've been fooled by their eyes and have missed the whole picture of it. Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran?
Yes.
He wrote a book, he wrote The Prophet, in 1923, but he wrote another book called Sand and Foam. In that book, he told a story of a man who had been away from his family for 4 months working, and he was excited to come home, and as he was coming home, he knew that the mountain, when he saw the mountain, he was close to home. So his 5 senses started having a conversation, and his eyes says, I see a mountain, I see a mountain, I see a mountain. And so the ears perked out and said, I don't hear a mountain. The nose sniffed and said, I don't smell a mountain. The tongue tasted the air. I don't taste a mountain. And the other four senses started speaking among themselves, and they came to the conclusion that there must be something the matter with the eye, because they couldn't perceive it. But all of these things, we've been misled just because we've been fooled by our senses. Our eyes see 0.05% of the entire electromagnetic wave. We're blind cosmically, but we judge everything by what we see.
Terrence Howard suggests that gravity is not the primary force in our universe. Instead, he believes that electricity and magnetism are the true architects of the cosmos. This idea isn't just revolutionary, it's paradigm shifting. Before we delve deeper into Howard's theories, let's look at another figure challenging the mainstream narrative, Eric Dubay. Dubay argues that gravity is a hoax, a convenient explanation for phenomena better explained by density and buoyancy within a medium filled with electromagnetic forces. According to Dubay, objects fall because they are denser than the air around them, not because of some mystical gravitational pull. This perspective aligns closely with Howard's views, shifting the focus from gravity to the more fundamental forces of electricity and magnetism. Nikola Tesla, the pioneer of electromagnetic theory. Howard's ideas echo the thoughts of one of history's greatest inventors, Nikola Tesla. Tesla believed that the secrets of the universe could be found in the study of electromagnetic forces. He famously said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Tesla's work on alternating current, AC power systems, revolutionized our understanding of electricity and magnetism, laying the groundwork for much of modern technology. Tesla saw the Earth itself as a massive conductor of electrical energy, a concept that aligns perfectly with Howard's beliefs. The ether, an ancient and modern concept. Howard's revival of the ether theory bridges modern science with ancient wisdom. The ether, or quintessence, was embraced by many ancient cultures. The Jains and Hindus spoke of akasha, a concept similar to the ether. In Jain cosmology, the universe comprises 6 substances, one of which is akasha, the space that accommodates all other substances and beings. This aligns with the idea that a fundamental, all-pervading substance exists beyond the physical elements we can see and measure. Let's not forget the work of Rudolf Steiner, a philosopher and esotericist who also opposed the mainstream understanding of gravity. Steiner believed that gravity was not an isolated force, but rather an interaction of different energies, including electricity and magnetism. He viewed the universe as a dynamic interplay of forces, a view that resonates with Howard's theories. Electricity and magnetism, the true cosmic forces. Howard asserts that electricity and magnetism are the primary forces in the universe, supported by the significant roles these forces play in everyday life and the cosmos. Electromagnetic forces govern the behavior of charged particles, dictate the structure of atoms and molecules, and influence the dynamics of planets and stars. These forces are described by Maxwell's equations, which show how electric and magnetic fields interact and propagate through space. The flower of life and natural patterns. Howard points to the natural patterns found in the flower of life and other ancient symbols as evidence of the fundamental role of electromagnetic forces. The flower of life, composed of overlapping circles, represents the interconnectedness of all things and the fundamental patterns of the universe. This symbol, found in cultures worldwide, suggests that these patterns are embedded in the very fabric of reality. Gravity, an elusive force. Gravity is most interesting, for it cannot be perceived directly, but its effects are very obvious. We incarnate into the realm of gravity and grow up with it, so that by the time we begin to think for ourselves, it is so natural that it took the genius of Sir Isaac Newton to recognize it, name it, and describe it in a scientific way in the 17th century. But that is all he did, for he did not know how it works. This worried him, for he was deeply suspicious of force acting at a distance without any obvious intermediate links or other means through which it acts. Newton's challenge with gravity. The concept of touch had become so important for science that it seemed all forces and influences should act through direct contact, such as when one ball hits another. This we can badly visualize and think about materialistically.
I sacrificed my peace of mind, a matter of real substance.
Isaac Newton came here to Cambridge as a young student in the early 1660s. It was here that all his genuinely creative science, philosophy, and religious ideas were formed. Light meant everything to Isaac Newton. He thought of it as an almost divine principle. He thought that the world had been made by a single, wise, omnipotent, clever, mathematical God. A God who, to be frank, rather resembled Isaac Newton.
There is a being who made all things, who has all things in his power, and who is therefore to be feared.
The loss, even the spurning of spiritual causes, arose perhaps particularly through Newton, although he was deeply religious. Kepler before him, who discovered the laws of planetary motion, still thought that angels pushed the planets around their orbits. Such an approach was anathema to Newton, who sought clearly visualizable influences of a material kind. It was he who proposed that even light should be made up of tiny particles flying through space. To be the discoverer of a force that acted without any clear material intermediary worried him to the end of his life. Materialism versus spiritism. The philosophical standpoint called materialism seeks to understand all things in terms of matter, in contrast to spiritism, which is also one-sided and sees everything as spirit. Gravity, a major law obeyed by matter, defies a materialistic description and appears to belong more to the philosophical standpoint known as mathematism, which seeks the most fundamental ground of all things in mathematics. This remained the same with Albert Einstein, who found a geometrical approach in his famous general theory of relativity, where he treated the movements of all material objects as governed by the shape or curvature of space itself. Einstein's geometrical approach. An analogy, although a bad one, is to picture a curved bowl and a marble orbiting around the bowl after being thrown into it. The shape of the bowl controls the path. The transition from geometry to physics comes when forces have to be explained, because force is not a geometrical concept. In the case of the bowl, we cannot ignore the momentum of the marble, without which the shape of the bowl would be ineffective. Both factors determine the motion. It is easily imagined that forces are active everywhere in nature, a philosophical viewpoint known as dynamism. But how do we know that? The only forces we know of are those we directly experience. If I observe a falling apple, as Newton did, what I actually observe is movement, an acceleration if I am careful. I do not observe force unless I intervene. But we can suspend the apple from a spring which measures force, because the amount by which the spring is extended is directly related to the force. So here surely we observe the force of gravity. True enough, but we do not observe force, we measure a change in length of a spring. We relate this to our experience of force, because we would have to exert a perceptible force to extend the spring by the same amount.
Form is, that's the consciousness. We are all just one great being.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they forget. We're not separate. We're all, the universe is probably one cell inside of some super organism.
Right.
And we're just little who, you know, little who's like Horton hears a who and trying to make sense of it. And it's a beautiful thing that we're making sense of it. But everything is just one great being. We're all God.
Howard introduces the concept of consciousness as a factor in shaping reality, resonating with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics. The observer effect in quantum mechanics suggests that the act of observation can alter the outcome of an experiment, implying that consciousness and reality are intertwined. This perspective challenges the traditional materialistic view of the universe and opens up new possibilities for understanding the interplay between mind and matter. Howard's theories offer intriguing possibilities for the future of science and technology. By re-evaluating the role of gravity and focusing on electricity and magnetism, we might develop new technologies that harness these fundamental forces more effectively. Advances in electromagnetic propulsion could revolutionize space travel, making it faster and more efficient. In materials science, understanding crystallization and pattern formation at the molecular level could lead to the development of new materials with unique properties, impacting fields from electronics to medicine. One of the most compelling aspects of Howard's theories is the way they bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science. By drawing on concepts like the ether and the flower of life, Howard highlights the timeless nature of these ideas and their relevance to contemporary scientific inquiry. Ancient cultures, including the Jains and Hindus, understood the universe in ways that align with modern scientific principles, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all things and the fundamental role of energy and vibration. Terrence Howard's theories challenge us to rethink our understanding of the universe. By proposing that electricity and magnetism, rather than gravity, are the primary forces at play, he opens up new avenues for exploration and discovery. His ideas, while unconventional, are rooted in a deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things and the fundamental role of energy and vibration. Thank you for watching. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. May you keep searching for the truths of life. I certainly will. Because I am Maya, you are Maya. So may we awaken together in this Maya matrix.